All right, everybody, welcome to another version of People Uncorked. I'm your host, Matt Sames. We're sharing stories one glass at a time. And today's guest is one of the most recognizable figures in upstate New York, Vermont, and Massachusetts. If you have a television, you've probably seen him. I'd like to introduce everyone to Mr. Paul Harding from the law firm Harding and Mazzotti.
Thank you for the introduction. And it's funny, with less people watching TV, I almost want to qualify that and say, if you're over the age of 24, the more people I meet under that age, I have no idea who I am.
So I guess my first question is, have you ever considered advertising your firm?
No, we like to keep it pretty quiet. We don't really want to get the word out. We're looking for kind of a boutique, less client. That idea was birthed early, and it has really been the foundational piece of our growth. Along with that, we were able to get amazing lawyers and we've grown the practice, which amazingly, so we have 188 people. I happened to check this morning because they all like to get a paycheck every week, so I kind of do check that, and so it has grown. About 48 of those are lawyers, and but early on it was just a few of us, and advertising was a critical component to our growth.
Okay, Paul, no look.
All right, behind the back.
Come on, guys, let me show you how it's done. Vic, toss me one.
Wow, now that's how a heavy hitter does it.
Injured, call Harding Mazzotti.
The heavy hitters.
You feel safe and comfortable in your car.
But get in a wreck, and your life could shatter like glass.
The insurance companies would like you to think small, think big.
Call Harding Mazzotti. Big helping, big results.
You've been helping the injured as long as we have. You're really good at it. Don't let a wreck your life.
Think big. Call Harding Mazzotti.
An 18-wheeler, 80,000 pounds heading straight for you in your 4,000-pound car.
Watch it. This crash could cause you serious injuries.
Luckily, this is just a simulation. Otherwise, you'd need big help.
And that truck insurance company will try to avoid paying you.
The big truck team at Harding Mazzotti knows how to get you paid as big as the problems that truck caused.
Injured by a big truck? Think big. Call Harding Mazzotti.
You're wildly successful, and I think a lot of people have the impression that you were raised with a silver spoon in your mouth. So maybe share with everyone your upbringing, your background, all that
people
good
say,
stuff.
is your dad a lawyer, that kind. So my dad was a mailman, and we grew up in Rotterdam, and we had a good life, and my mom didn't work, and so no one went to college. That was this unique part. So as I was kind of progressing academically, and I would say I was progressing in trajectory towards average academics. I wasn't lighting it up at school, but I had this idea I wanted to be a lawyer. And when I said it and I posed that question, there was a lot of blank stares. No one really knew what that meant. No one was going to college, so it meant I had to go to college and then probably something beyond that, right? Turns out it is 3 additional years, but at the time I'm not sure I even knew that. But ultimately, we grew up there and kind of had a dream, and through, kind of little luck and little happenstance, and me growing into sort of, I guess I had some closet academic upside that I didn't know about. I became a student, and I went to SUNY Oswego. I like to say I went there because they said yes. Everyone else had said no, and went there, and then I got to law school at Albany Law, and as I sit here right now, law school was easier than Shelmont High School in my mind's eye. Now, I'm guessing that probably couldn't possibly be the case, but, high school was a struggle. Law school kind of came, I hate to say easy, but it sort of did, and I guess I just sort of blossomed into that. But no silver spoon, but, a lot of support, and when I said it, nobody laughed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, full disclosure, you and I have been friends for 25 years.
That is true.
I'm old enough to remember when legal advertising was controversial. So why don't you bring us back to the early days when you and your partners decided to go on television and kind of get it out there?
It's funny. I was listening to a sermon of all things, listen to all kinds of podcasts, sermons, and someone said that if you have an idea and there's at least the majority of the people think it's not a good idea, you might be onto something, right? Meaning, if everyone knows it's a great idea, you're probably too late to the game. You're just kind of, maybe tracking some. So when we did that, it was novel. Nobody was doing it. In fact, uniquely, the people had done it before us. Their paths ended badly, a guy called the country lawyer. He ended up sailing away, and then the IRS found him. And then a guy named Kaposha, and he ended up serving some jail time. Unrelated to being exactly a lawyer, but those were the characters that were in front of us. So when we did it, there was this sense of trepidation, this sense of people saying, "Why are you doing it?" I thought they were going to throw tomatoes at me, when I was walking into the courtroom. But in fact, I remember going to law school to speak, and I'm like, "Do you really want me here? Is this okay?" And then as time went on, it became more and more part of our fabric. But yeah, it was novel. It was a new idea, and I was right out of the box. 27 when I did my first TV ad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was 6, 7 years ago. Anyway.
Almost 10 now. Yeah.
You're a community leader. You're a leader in your field. I know you do speak to young people that are in law school and recent law school graduates and stuff. What do those conversations sound like? Yeah,
when we're having a conversation about like what to do and how to do it, about maybe success in the law, meaning the law as a business, right? There's many things in the law that just make a difference, and we do that and we love that. But when I'm talking to people about how can they have a career in this, how can they make money in this, how can they grow something and create something, I always let them know. I said, well, today I wouldn't do what I did. I wouldn't start out. I don't think that starting out and getting in TV and slowly growing it, I don't think you even need to do that. I think if I was 27 years old today, I'd be doing it differently. I would not necessarily even be branding myself the way that we've branded it, but I would certainly be branding through the internet and through really pay-per-click and through that. That's how I would start the practice. I can interrupt. And it happens to us. We lose business to someone who's operating out of their basement because they look about like we do on the internet. Someone clicks, you get that individual. He or she will call them directly. You got cell phones. They develop a relationship, and the client signs up, right? And I think that's how I would begin that process. I would eventually work my way into, when I had some dollars in the door, building brand, but. I also think that I would probably look to the national front, for getting cases and referring cases. You can refer a case to an attorney in another state and get a referral fee. So when I talk to these guys, I kind of get a sense whether they, and these are folks who usually think they want to do litigation, do what we do. But I just tell them, the key is you need some cash flow, and you need to keep reinvesting it. Had the same car until I was 33 that I had at 23. It was 9 years somewhere in there, and it was Dodge Daytona, and they weren't any cooler then than they are now. And I didn't buy it new, so I had about a 14, 15-year-old car, but I never saw the value in putting money into a car. I rented a townhome. I didn't buy a home. It was always putting the money back in. It felt safe. It felt like I was betting on me. Versus, investing in the stock market, maybe a good thing to do, and it is, but you're not betting on you, you're betting on someone else. And so that's what I tell people, that they need to figure out what they want at the end and then kind of look back and kind of try to retrofit how it's going to work for them. But advertising is not going anywhere, right? It is how you advertise has changed dramatically. And, there's been several points when the world changed, but 2008 is one of them, and I didn't see it coming, but, no longer is just putting a couple ads on TV and a radio going to get you a business model.
Right. Yeah. No, true story. I mean, you have to hit the consumer from a lot of different angles now.
Yes.
I think someone told me back in my other life in advertising when I was on the selling side that the average American was exposed to 5,000 messages a day. Now that includes billboards and bumper stickers and radio, TV ads, everything. Cereal, yeah. And now it's more like 20,000
a day.
A day.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize it. It's subliminal. But well, competitive landscape.
And they're doing it differently. I'm watching football on Prime now, and I'm watching commercials on Prime. YouTube is so powerful. Our advertising budget was usually, back in the day, was about 94%, 95%, literally all of it was TV. And then threw some billboards in there. And then radio, but we'd still be over 90%. And now 50% of our budget is in digital, in other. And yeah, 50%. You know, and we're still trying to get our average cost per case at a certain number. We can't spend so much and then get a case. It doesn't net out, right? So we can only spend so many dollars per case. And so, doing what I do, I mean, I'm kind of, I'm a business guy, and we got to look at that stuff. It's sort of mostly what I do, is to make sure that our dollars we're spending and the stuff we're doing in the community and the sponsorships and all that stuff has a return. Sometimes there's an emotional return, and that counts. Yep. But often we have to make sure that those dollars are actually producing cases. But yeah, so a shift like that, I would never have guessed that more than 50% of my budget was going to be not in traditional advertising.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so we're talking about competitive landscapes, and the legal field has always been competitive, right?
Yeah, we're big spenders.
Every attorney I talk to, it seems, says they do personal injury.
Yeah.
So so then the ultimate question is, okay, well, if Joe Schmo does it out of his basement, why should they go with Harding Mazzotti?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's profitable, right? So here we are signing up a case, and we actually, they say, what do we owe you? Nothing. We will, if we succeed, we get a percentage of the recovery. We're in this together. I mean, it really is that feel like, and the harder we work together, the better the result will be. But if things don't work out and we get zero, it costs you nothing. Our time is free, our expenses, we don't charge you anything. And so, the margins are there. And I guess everyone does put it out that they do personal injury, but we have, I think, about 35 firms that send us. So if you do go to that person in the basement, you might end up with us anyway, but now they're getting a referral fee back for sending the people to us and staying somewhat involved in the case. I will tell you that, when we've branched out to do other things, we do some workers' compensation, some Social Security disability. We have an employment law group now. A lot of it's just service business. I would say that's our charity, is to doing that stuff and helping people through that process. The dollars really aren't there. But, when you come to us, you want you to be there forever. We call it the Harding Mazzotti family. You join the family. You can't get rid of family. They're there forever. You got to help them, whether you're making money or not.
Well, that's a nice entree to my next question. You guys are very philanthropic. Your firm has always been philanthropic. Like, what's your philosophy about that? What are some of the organizations you support, and why? Just kind of expound a little bit on that.
Stuff that's the most fun is the stuff that we've never told anybody that we do. And there is a litany of those things. And sometimes it's individuals who, again, are they saying good things in the community when we've changed? They probably are, right? But we don't look at that. The stuff that's the public stuff, I mean, we are super involved, with several cancer organizations, St. Jude being one, very involved in that. We have look at that, and that affects nearly everybody. It's kind of an all play. Somebody's had cancer in their life, a family member, somebody, and it's insidious, and it takes people and families down, and so that is something that we want to do. But we kind of put it out to our group. We have 180 people, as I said, and we ask people, what do you want us to do? It can be anywhere for $50. We've had $50,000 where we spend, or actually beyond. But we ask people, where can we influence? And boy, we get every year, and they will tell us what they're interested in, and and often we'll just do it. Like, they have a connection to something. Well, we do it. And so when I say we support hundreds, that's fair. Hundreds of organizations get something. Some get more than others, depending on what they do. But, and I'm not going to reveal today, but there's so many things that we do that are just under the radar, that we do mostly for individuals who don't move the needle. We're just moving their life, and even the firm doesn't even know. I mean, it really is something that 3 or 4 of us at the firm love to do. We connect with these people and we support. That stuff I love the most. I do think that giving is, you got to look at giving as ROI, return on investment. You do to some degree, but then there's that whole other section that just feels right. And we've been fortunate to be able to do that, but can't do everything, so we do tell people no, but we tell a lot of people yes.
Yeah, you've got a long track record of doing that for folks, and I can speak from my experience. You were very supportive for Hannah's Hope Fund, which was part of our life-changing mission. That's a separate story, but When we come back, we will learn about Paul Harding, the futurist, right after this message. Okay, we're back, and it's time. This is People Uncorked, so we're going to taste some wine. Nice. Today's wine is a Stag's Leap blend called The Investor. I really like it. It retails for about $42. It's a blend of Merlot, Petit Syrah, Cab, and Malbec. And for those of you who don't know, Stag's Leap is a district in Napa Valley, but it's also an individual winery. And actually, Paul,
yeah,
you just visited there.
I did, yeah. My wife and I went there, and we went to the new Stag's Leap vineyard, and it was super fancy, great experience. And so, yeah, I'm excited. Who knew?
That was your first time in Napa?
Yeah, I'd never been. Yeah, I kind of was supposed to go years ago on a client trip with CBS 6 that I believe you were involved in, and we never made it. I think babies came and that kind of a thing. And so, yeah.
They always get in the way.
We'll go back. Now that I've been there, I get it. We'll be back one day.
All right, cool. All right, People Uncorked. Let's try it. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, that's good. Wow, that's good. What's it called? Investor?
The Investor. Stag's Leap, The Investor.
I'm going to make a move on that.
So now,
yeah,
we have to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 on corks. How many corks do you give it?
And 10 would be the top cork?
10's the best, yeah.
So I'm kind of an easy rater. You know, I've always been that guy. That's fantastic. So I don't know that I've enjoyed something a lot more. So can I give it a 9.5 cork just so I can save that half cork in case something just knocks me off my chair?
That's the Dave Portnoy move.
Is it? 9.5 corks.
Leave yourself a little room.
Just a little room, yeah.
I'm going to say 8.2 corks.
Wow.
That's good.
It's fantastic.
The more it opens up, the better it gets. Num, num, num.
Wow. Who knew when you gave me the opportunity to come here that there was going to be a little wine too?
And this is your parting gift. You get the rest of the wine.
That I didn't know either. So
2 glasses. So.
I take it and say thank you. I look forward. My wife and I'll have this tonight.
This is how we blow the budget on the whole production.
Yeah. Worth every penny. I'm telling you, that is good.
All right, so we teased it that you're a futurist, and I say that only because in the time that I've known you, you have a tendency and a talent to see things happening before they actually occur. What are some of the things you've seen in your past that occurred, and what are some things you see going forward that you predict are going to be the new trends? And it could be consumer-based, law-based, whatever.
Yeah, start with law-based first. But I would say, number one, I've done a lot of things that haven't worked. And I think that if you're a business person out there and you look at a failure as something where it's going to shut you down, then you probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur, right? So things have not worked more than they've worked. But when they work, you get this label as being, this sort of futurist or a business guy or good instincts, but my instincts were just probably not to quit when I ran into some walls. But I will kind of pull out of the law a little bit, because not many people who are listening probably are lawyers or want to be. But I just think, the world changed 3 times fairly recently. The book in 1995, The Road Ahead by Bill Gates came out. My partner Bruce Martin gave it to me. I still have the book, and I read the book, and I thought it was about the internet. Okay, and there was an internet, but we didn't know what it was. Nobody really had it, maybe a little dial-up at that point. And I read the book, and it talked about all the opportunities if you were an entrepreneur. Unlimited, I mean, anything. BuyCD.com would have worked, actually, as I look back. I shut the book. I put it in my bookshelf. I said, what a great book. What a great book. Thank you for giving me that. I did nothing. 2008 came, and the world changed again, with the iPhone, Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff. And there I kind of did feel that was something that I needed to learn about and become, I was slowly becoming an old guy, but I was trying to stay current with that stuff. I thought, wow, that world is going to change. The advertising world is going to change. And then most recently, AI's been around for years. They've been teasing us, but now with Chatster and stuff, everyone has it. You talk to any college kid, they got Chatster. I'm composing beautiful sonnets for my wife through Chatster. She knows that where I'm getting them. But ultimately, those tools in business. So what we did early on is that we recognized that we need to, whenever there is a product, I get it. There are products out there that will summarize medical records. I got that before. Now it's easy to do. Try reading medical records, right? It's long, it's tedious. And then you forget, right? AI doesn't forget. And they'll read it, they'll summarize. You can ask questions, you can have things highlighted to go back on.
Are you referring to medical records for cases?
For a case.
Okay.
For a case.
Got it.
But healthcare, right? That probably, when I say what's going to be the best thing that AI is doing it's healthcare. It's going to be able to predict because information is power. The doctors know what they know. Pharmaceutical companies know it. Now, what would have taken months or years is instant. Okay, so for us, we are embracing early AI in our firm. We just are, and I think that anybody out there who's in a business that where information is important, if they're not taking some chances on that. Now, if you are a business entrepreneur and you want to, you have some knowledge about a specific industry, take insurance, for example, my gosh, in the next 3 to 5 years, 7 years, companies are going to emerge that are going to be like, $100 billion companies that don't exist today are going to be there in 5 years. And you're going to say, wow, I could have done that. Well, maybe you could, maybe you couldn't, but at least you could chip off a piece of that. So I think if you are an entrepreneur, or you are just you don't have to be young, but if you are young, it's probably to your advantage. But if you're looking what to do, you take this AI tool, the tool that I didn't take in 1991 with the internet, and then took advantage of a little bit when the iPhone came and all the social media came.
The interweb, as I like to call it.
Yeah, also, that's where I was.
And these folks at AOL are charging me a fortune for my email.
Yeah, right. My wife still has her AOL email. True story. So I just think that it's every opportunity that existed in 1944. When you say, "Wow, if I was around in '44, you know what I would have done?" Or 28, or 1977. I think that there are so many opportunities right now. It feels like you could throw a dart and be successful, but you have to adopt at this point AI. We don't know it. I think the person who probably knows the most about it, I'll say they're in ninth grade, and compared to where this is going to go.
I think it's a fad.
You think it's like the?
I tried to use my Chat GPT to do predictive lottery numbers. Doesn't work.
I think they do say gambling is something they won't allow. It's probably the dark Chatster. You can go on,
I've been looking for it. I've been trying to pick 4 for like 3 weeks. It doesn't work.
It's just in a blink the world changed, and in a blink you've got to either double down and go into it, or you're going to just be someone who sits back and it's okay. I mean, I always people will talk to me, I talk to my kids, and I say, look, you're not Zuckerberg. You're if they're not my kids, I say you're probably not Zuckerberg, right? And they're not. Right, so not many people are going to take this and move with it, but there are people out there. If you have that entrepreneurial spirit, you and you commit to AI for the next 3 to 5 years, you'll be one of the experts in the country because no one knows where this is going.
Yeah.
But boy, healthcare, insurance, governmental, anything, they're going to be buying software with AI components.
And just from a creative standpoint, which really is, way down on the ladder, AI helping with video production, script ideas,
Yeah.
creative ideas. It's
that was the writer's strike that was going on last summer. They wouldn't cut a deal because AI is writing stuff that they were getting paid to do. And I've done it. I said, write a sitcom about 2 lawyers in Albany who da-da-da-da-da. And it pumped it out. And I said, make it humorous, but make it, clean joke. Whatever you give them, it's a great start. Futuristic. I mean, if you just got to pay attention and don't wait for everyone else to fill in the blanks. You immerse into something like that. Take a confident role, move forward, find an industry that you want to disrupt or support, and that's what I would do. And I say, well, then Paul, are you doing it? I'm always doing something. I'm always got some other businesses going on beside my primary law firm. And to some degree, I guess I am. I'm, trying to see if I can create something that will change the world of law through AI. Esoterically.
Love it.
Yeah.
One more question and we can wrap it up.
Sure.
I know you're a man of faith,
Yes.
and that wasn't always the case.
No.
So maybe you want to talk a little bit about your journey.
Sure, yeah. Boy, that's probably at the forefront. Grew up Catholic, and but just connecting the dots there, showing up in holidays when I do, and went through a difficult time. I was kind of swimming against the current, I guess I felt, even though I had success at what people would perceive on the outside. I always felt like I just couldn't fill up the inside. It's a true fast forward, but my wife and I married, had 2 kids, divorced. You know that. You and I talked a lot when I was there, and it's a great weight loss opportunity. And just,
Transformational.
I was lost, and then independently, she sort of found her way through people, through a relationship with God, through Christ, and I did too, through a very unique fashion, through a young lady that I started dating, and through her uncle, and I mean, it's just an amazing story. And my wife and I share, we call our testimony. We share our testimonies publicly, and I thank you for coming. You came a few months ago, and we shared it.
I will never forget it. It was very moving.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's our story. They say your mess is your ministry, and our mess was our ministry. We divorced, we remarried, and now we have a marriage ministry, and we speak publicly, and we have lots of opportunities to do that. We're blessed with that, and so. Yeah, so at the beginning of our day, including today, we pray and we're thankful for the little things. The big things are great, but everything, and our relationship, and so for us, it's foundational now. And I've always probably looked at that and thought, oh, these people are a little weak, and these people are kind of near the edge, but for us, we found strength in that, and through tough times. It's a shame that it requires to get there, but. It allowed us to have that opportunity to work with couples and say, well, you guys are having some problems, and there was a problem that we're going to identify in your relationship, but we divorced. We're separated for 3 years. We're apart for 3 years and remarried, and we did that through Christ, with Christ, entering Christ into ourselves independently, and then getting back together. So, yeah, that part of Paul Harding is a part that I guess people learn about, and again, we've spoken probably 20 times, Capital Region, a little bit beyond. They're always a little surprised, because especially I don't wear it on my sleeve. I was at Stewart's before I came here, and 2 people stopped me, and one guy, I kid you not, I walked out of the restroom, and he said, hey, aren't you that, it was a really negative thing, I got to make sure I get the words right, aren't you that horrible lawyer, or that dirtbag lawyer? And he had a hat on, he had a smirk on his face. I said, yes, guilty as charged. And we end up laughing about it. He was a curmudgeonly guy. And then talked to someone else, and that other person said, hey, I saw you give your testimony at Star Point Church. Thank you. And that was just minutes before I arrived here at the local store. So yeah, that's a lot of what we do, and we try to incorporate it into everything. And really, some of that stuff was always there, but we didn't know where it was coming from.
Yeah, I've had more than a few friends who've seen your testimony with Gwen, and just very moving, impressive, super courageous of you guys to do it.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm always crying on stage, and she's not. Because I get to the point where I'm not going to cry, and I get to a certain. It's always different too. Next thing I know, I assume I did it when you were there that time. Yeah, I did. There I go.
Well, I think it could have been the dust in the air.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I'll make that joke, but because I just feel that when I tell the story, it's powerful, and it kind of overtakes me a little bit, and yet that's not me. When you see me at Stewart's or you see me in town, I'm almost accused of having a veneer, being a little bit too polished. Quick conversations, keep the jokes going, and work my way out the door. But when I'm there, it's the unvarnished or, just sort of raw piece. And God has a way of doing that. Take you down to your metal and then kind of build you back up. So yeah. Thank you for letting me share that. I didn't know that was part of this, but I always feel honored to be able to share that part of my life.
Well, Paul, here at People Uncorked, we ask the hard questions, and we really like to put the spotlight on.
Well, I felt it there, but appreciative of it. Thank you.
Kind of like a Mike Wallace in a Hawaiian shirt. So is there anything else you want to share?
No, but it's this that, this is a kind of a when you told me that you were doing this, I thought that this was fantastic because I don't know anyone other than you, Matt Sames, who interviewed Michael Jordan in person on a set. And that was something where your story is always, there's always that one more thing we don't know about Matt Sames, and I just revealed that. There are plenty more. So I think you've always been gravitating towards communication publicly. You're involved in media. But just at 23, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, you sat down with the Michael Jordan, not, there's probably a lot of Michael Jordans around, but the one that we know and has become just an icon. So I think this is a great thing you're doing for the community, and I appreciate that you're putting yourself out there to do this and grow it. So,
and I'm not afraid to admit that Michael Jordan was pretty intimidated.
Yeah,
more than a little
Not
nervous.
Matt Sames. He's going to ask the hard questions.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you for this, and cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, brother.
Another great episode of People Uncorked. Thanks for watching, and adios.